Hello everyone, my name's Eva. Thank you so much for joining me here in this video. Just starting by taking a nice deep breath into the center of your being. In and out through the center, in light and of light. Resting in gratitude for the opportunity to be here together in this moment of self and expanding this loving presence, offering it to all living beings. Very beautiful. Thank you. I was on YouTube this morning and I scrolled past the Kadampas talking about the idea of renunciation in Buddhism, and I wanted to talk a little bit about that. And then, I was taking notes and some things came through, so I'm going to bring them up there on my computer. So if you see me looking elsewhere and down and around, it's because I'm reading off my computer. But yes, this idea of renunciation is not participating with delusions, right? Doesn't mean that we're withdrawing from responsibility to others or repressing fearful beliefs or repressing that we are involved in delusions. It means not giving, and we talk about this a lot on this channel, it means not giving belief to the perception of separation, right? That is not real. We cease to grasp at appearances. This is a very Buddhist idea, ceasing to grasp at appearances as inherently existing from their own side. So we're in the practice of withdrawing the belief from illusion and placing faith in the light beyond it. And in the practice of our lives, when we talk about being triggered or we're having difficult conversations with people or difficult interactions, with individual humans or with society at large and the things that we are participating with, right? The irritation and hurt and frustration that come up, the practice is to not see them as obstacles, but to invite them in our awareness and to participate with them as opportunities to see where we still believe that attack, right? This attack and defense mechanism that the ego is really built on, can protect us, or that it would protect us, or that it would prove the reality of that there is warrant to be defensive or attacking, right? So forgiveness, this idea of forgiveness that we talk about, is not really about excusing behavior for other people or for ourselves, but it's about remembering that this behavior, all of these delusions or illusions that we're participating in fear, are not what defines reality. They are not what defines the inherent beingness that we are, the truth of love that we are. So when we decide to practice renunciation or to practice this non-participation with delusions, that is merely us stating over our field over the shared field that we don't recognize the reality of delusions, right? So when we find ourselves in relationship to other people in whatever way, in relationship to systems, in relationship to what we see around us, what we perceive to be existing from its own side in the physical world, we take nice deep breaths, we stop ourselves, we go into that practice of actual mindfulness, and we see it as reflecting patterns of what we still believe about ourselves in fear, without blaming other people or blaming ourselves. We really want to neutralize this idea of blame. So when we practice this, when we bring up the roots, right, we clear them. This is a practice of clearing these belief systems, clearing the old beliefs that love and safety are conditional, or that we could be cut off from source. So the practice isn't really to force positive thoughts or positive loving perception. It cannot be forced. But when we are feeling triggered, when we feel ourselves activate in that defense and attack mechanism, that we really use that moment to notice, to bring ourselves into awareness. This is really coming through in the solar. This is really the practice of spiritual authority, the practice of sovereignty in our being. You notice when we feel contraction in the body. We notice when that moment when the story of your wounds or your delusions tried to take over, right? I'm not being seen clearly. I'm not being supported. I am being attacked. I am in danger. This is the belief in conditional existence, not unconditional loving reality that's trying to take hold, that you're allowing to take hold of you by your participation in that thought system. This is all about revealing our thought system and choosing to participate in a unified thought system, in a loving thought system instead, because the choice is truly ours. So when we take that moment to really choose, you really let that pause. There's power in that pause. Let that pause soften. Let it open. Let that allows the perception, right? Your perception. When you take that pause, when you open yourself up to spirit, to source, to creator, to however you, whatever you use to orient yourself to the divine, whatever words you use or ideas, it allows that your perception to align with that being, with that truth. And that is the miracle, because the miracle is always there. That perception of unity is always available to you. It is your truth. And so the miracle is the mere allowance of love to flow through you. And we are all capable of this. I believe this. We are all capable of this at every moment. Because why would we take the power of choice away from others? If you do that, you're taking it away from yourself. And this is how we need to learn to see in unity if we want to be truly knowing ourselves free. So this healing transmission here right now, where we are finding ourselves together, is about integration through this sort of gentle vigilance. It's not defending your position. We really want to, when we find ourselves contracting in defense or like feeling barbed in attack, this is when we want to bring that ease, that openness to that moment. Gentle vigilance of thought, right? It's important, it's necessary, but we want to bring this idea of softness into it so we don't introduce blame and guilt. Those things will arise on their own. When they do, we bring the same gentle vigilance, because they are also just attack thoughts. They are also just mechanisms of the ego's thought system. Right? So it's not about the effort that you cling to sort of sustain you in this process. That closes that channel. But it's watching your mind and then allowing the choice to open up to you, and then you choose again in peace. So this healing is not in fighting your thoughts, but in watching them pass through your mind, a mind that no longer believes that they define the truth. Okay? And I think that's very, very beautiful. So if we want to just take some nice deep breaths now, recentering ourselves in this peace that is very powerfully flowing, this love that is flowing through us at all times, we just need to bring our awareness to it. We allow it to wash away all things of the unreal. Let truth be restored to your mind. Hitaranain seyatishi kina payas notroaptai, manrinat oin tokapatusho notaginandraioto. Kinindraisio shonto corruitisin, yanatraisin chiritis daratu corruit, himianato suncho conatriain, iatiso yoshin satraisi tayas sushi kinitriatasaya, shikayas nodro kais nishitisin, yato corruitisim natra kinianta, inaisio torratus andatainim natrain nionto corraitis yatratu nuinditiaki. Sinitianaun chibiatraision so kunoshanin, imindoti tanatiata korohiabayas, shamasan satayinin diri waraisin chatayisaya. Sinio shon dapit, kinindroti sinchi kinindriti sancharato oriti sinche kinindriti sinsikiat. And another, when we find ourselves in these moments of the choice point between attack and defense, between believing delusions are real and then participating in that thought system to move forward, or choosing in love, we can really, 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 really remind ourselves in that moment that to choose in the false hurts us. And so when we are choosing from a position of greater expansion, of greater aligned power with creation, with God, that we see how our attack thoughts hurt us, and how when we project them, because we are one with all life, any of that hurts everyone. All of these thoughts are shared. Even if you're not having a conversation with other people, with other people's bodies, we are not our bodies. There are no private thoughts. This is a shared field. So when you choose that in your mind, you are hurting yourself and you are hurting others. This is happening at many different levels than what we would typically believe is what's real. So when you are feeling limitations in your being, when you're feeling doubts in yourself, when you're feeling uncertain, when you're feeling angry, when you're feeling attacked by others or manipulated by others, or an attempt to control, we see that this is happening from within ourselves, and then we say, I will not use this symbol to attack and hurt myself. I choose to see peace instead. This takes practice because we don't really yet totally believe in the power of that. We don't really believe that that our minds are what's actually creating this, because we still live in this physicality where we believe that things exist from their own side. But this practice in our minds, in our choices, every time, if you're scared that you won't have enough money, if you're scared that you don't know what's next, if you're scared about provision and jobs or relationships with other people, or any kind of dynamics that bring up fear in you, understand the power of your choice, the power of your mind, the power of creation is in you. And this is the power. God's power is where all your power comes from. You're given the free will choice. God will not negate that power in you, but you always have never lost the power to choose again. And that choice is what's manifesting this physical reality in your belief that it is happening. And so highlighting the power of our choice and then actively choosing, but not mincing words and not mincing ideas about how hurtful attack thoughts are to you and everyone who is existing in this universe. Because it is shared. And it's not just about humanity. It's all life in this field. Okay? And so you don't have to use the nomenclature of the Holy Spirit, whatever works for you, of the divine. I use Holy Spirit or Spirit, the self that knows. Help me see this differently. You are always answered. The answer is always already there. And then you get to see how your power, you are one of this power, you are one with this power, and all of your power comes from this force. But it's not stemming from what you believe of the littleness of yourself. And so this is not to diminish you. It's to see that in unity, God only functions completely when you are in recognition of your own power. That is unity. So that's why God's always calling you home, and it never stops, because it made you to be one with it. And while you are not experiencing yourself as one with it, it is not experiencing itself complete through you, which is what it made you for. And so there's no punishment in this. That's an idea that we made up to hurt ourselves, to keep ourselves separate, in the mad belief that we could be other than what we are. But I really do think that it is a necessary part of this process to understand that that's what our attack thoughts do. They cause pain, they cause fear, and we need to take the responsibility for not doing that. and to understand that in the reality of the quantum, that this universe, this quantum dance, this quantum song and dance that's happening here, that there's no consequence in giving it up other than that you are free of it. There's no penance that's required, but there is vigilance of mind, this gentle vigilance of mind that is required, and a needfulness to see how your attack thoughts are hurting you and all others in the way that they keep you separate from your true nature. It's very easy to see the way when you are committed to only seeing in your true nature. And that's why I wanted to talk about this idea of renunciation, because it's not abandoning. It is the practice of only seeing what is real. Kimiat or hiniam nisi kidiashon, ini sana trayagutio kono yashin di kanit, ini mandanato sonjokorkiti sin sikirit, hinim natiti oyo twishi usun sonishim zarayotot, ini kayasun yaterihitio korruiti sin chikininritis natratus, shinisan zakiriti shinzotot onindiri korruitis yoshon taptaoro, hinim natoro koriti sin chikinindritis, sitirito yonushamboro iti sitia kinindritis sin chikinindraisios, hionto coriantas. And this is really showing how sort of mechanisms or structures of defense and protection that we build around ourselves are protecting a false idea of what you are. They aren't really keeping you safe because your safety lies in your unified nature. And if you're keeping precious an idea of your separateness, that you need to keep some kernel safe from the world, from others, from anything at all, you're misunderstanding yourself. And in that misunderstanding, are you producing fear in yourself? And it could very easily be undone, and it needs to be undone for you to be at peace. And if this is bringing up resistance or anger, or well, this lady's just totally ignoring the nature of what's going on in the world and how people are traumatized and how things have happened here, I encourage you to sit with that and to really deeply listen to what I'm saying about the unreal nature of samsara, of the world that we perceive around us, of what it means when I say that things don't exist from their own side and that this is all a projection of thought systems. It is painful to let go of this because everything we thought was real is unreal and we made it all up. That's a painful thing to recognize. But you're not alone, because in your remembrance of the truth, is it undone from you? And there's no, God is quiet. God is loving. God is not here to punish you. God doesn't want to punish you for that. It just wants you to remember so that you can resume your function as co-creator in the field of one. You're the only one who's projecting that you will be punished for having done something wrong. That is an illusion. See that that what these illusions come from, these thought systems, illusions at all levels. In this world, it does take bravery. It does take strength of mind, strength of spirit. But while you believe that you have to do that alone and that strength comes from you alone, it will continue to be fearful. You have to open yourself up to that this strength is not coming from what you believe of yourself. This strength comes from the one field that you are inextricably and very importantly a part of. Your salvation is in that field. Your freedom is one with that field. You are already saved by the inherent and eternal nature of this field. But your mind does need healing because your mind has forgotten. And all you need to do is align with the mind that knows, the self that knows. This, if you resonate this with being your innermost being or your highest self, the self that is interfacing with this unity field that has not forgotten. Shitayato tuyamniti, Christ. But you don't have to use that. Whatever works for you. Shitiata korruin taptakonoit. Initias un chokorruitisin, shiritias sansakinindrihiorrato shokorruitisim shikinindritis. And so, like we said in the beginning, your difficult relationships with other people, or when there's friction in any way, in yourself or in others, this is a reflection of a belief that you still hold in illusions. You aren't responsible for even really explaining or you're not responsible for defending this position to other people's egos. You offer love, and when you are listening to your intuition, when you are listening to the guidance of spirit, you will see very clearly what you must do. It might not be easy when you are still participating and still believe in the reality of the ego's thought system. It will take effort, and it might feel painful to let go of those ideas of separation because of this, these ideas of safety and condition that we believe we must adhere to in order to be safe, in order to be loved, in order to be secure, in order to flourish here in this world. But we misunderstand. The correction in our mind comes from God, comes from spirit, comes from truth. That's always there. That's always available for you. And especially in the world we live in these days, where it's just hustle, 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 move, 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 pay attention to 8 million different things at once. Everything has to instantaneously be happening, and results are the only, important thing, and what can you get and what can you achieve outside of yourself, and how are you measuring yourself based on like totally arbitrary things, and how much money do you have, and where do you live, and all of these things, and just like do, right? This pause that is required, the stillness that is required to really hear, to really listen, to really receive. It will take you behaving differently than the illusory field that and the ego participation that you see around you. It will make you different. But the love that is at the basis of reality, when you feel that, and I can't describe that to you, but when you open to that, which we do very much open to it here when we meet together, it's up for you to receive it to yourself, but it is very much on offer here. It makes it easier to not choose illusion, because you understand that love can't be found in illusion, because love is truth. But there will still be moments when you're in your personality self might find it difficult to choose because it's not what other people are doing. Then you start to see what other people are very differently, right? We are not our egos. We are not our personality selves in truth. That is it's a form we take. It's a costume we wear here. The truth of our being is love. And when you see that clearly, you will not participate in friction-filled, frustrated, angry interactions with other people, or fear-based, putting yourself lower or negating yourself for the sake of other people's egos, because that is seeing them wrongly. That's seeing them in their ego. But we would see in love, we would see in glory for all beings. This is the practice. I think I'm going to end this here. I really hope that this was helpful to you today. I hope that this assisted you to align with peace and to give you some practical advice. I think sometimes this work can come out as very abstract, but it's very, very practical when we think about where choice and where change actually happens, which is in the choice of our thought system. This is always within you to be doing, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing. You always have this choice. And the practice is opening to God, opening to Source, opening to Creator, to really see that you're never alone. Because if you believe that you're choosing it alone and that you're going to be abandoned, and if I choose differently from like everybody I know, that I'm just going to be left out in the cold and I'll just be alone forever and I won't be safe, you're not going to want to do it. So you got to open to that stillness, to feel for yourself, to accept for yourself that unity, right? Unity can't be alone. Life is expanding and eternal, never alone. So accept that for yourself, in your mind, in your heart, in your field, in your beingness. And it does get easier to choose because you know that you don't choose alone. Amen. Thank you all so much for joining me once again here today. I have so much love and gratitude for all of you. If you want to work more closely together, that information is always in the description box below, and there are many ways that that can happen. So would love to meet more of you. Please feel free to like and comment and subscribe and all of those things, and share with your friends and everything that feels resonant to you. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.